My wife chose not to celebrate her birthday with me, instead opting to have dinner with a coworker. When I told her I was considering divorce, she assumed I was bluffing. We had been together for 14 years, married for 12. Our relationship had its challenges, but as far as I knew, there had never been infidelity. I always believed we would work through our problems together. In September 2022, I was in a serious car accident involving a garbage truck. Although I wasn't severely injured, I suffered from persistent back pain that made it impossible to continue working as an HVAC technician. I attempted to return to work after 3 months, but my condition worsened, and my doctor advised me to stop working while we sought treatment. In May 2023, I had emergency surgery for a ruptured appendix. When I woke my wife to take me to the hospital, she reacted with irritation, insisting on fixing her hair and makeup before we left. She also refused to drive, so I drove myself with her as a passenger. After surgery, the hospital wanted to keep me overnight due to an infection. I asked my wife to stay with me and take time off work to help, but she refused to do either. At the time, I was too focused on my health to dwell on her lack of support. In June, I jokingly said, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out," reflecting on our difficult situation. She snapped, expressing that she felt trapped and stressed. I acknowledged her frustration, knowing my inability to work contributed to her stress. I had applied for financial assistance to cover our mortgage and utilities while she handled the bills. I encouraged her, hoping it would help us resolve our issues. 2 weeks later, she told me she planned to spend the night with a coworker to discuss her feelings. Soon after, she said she didn't want to spend her birthday with me because she was having dinner with a coworker. I later learned this coworker was a man. After a heated argument, I left for my mother's house to gather my thoughts. Later, I went to a friend's house to get some space. When my wife saw this, she accused me of abandoning our marriage. We continued to argue for days, but I ultimately decided that 14 years together was too important to end over this one issue. We agreed to try working on our relationship for at least 6 months before making a decision. Just 4 weeks later, I found out she had been looking for apartments. She suggested that having her own space could help save our marriage. Despite my concerns, she moved forward with her plan. As she settled into her new place, I questioned how a year-long lease would help and asked how she expected me to manage the bills alone while I was unable to work. I warned her that if she moved out, I would file for divorce. She found an apartment she liked, applied, and was approved. After moving out, she left me to handle all financial responsibilities on my own. In the months following her departure, we spoke occasionally, but our conversations were tense, filled with unresolved issues and resentment. Living alone after so many years of marriage was difficult, both emotionally and financially. The logistics of separating, dividing assets, handling financial obligations were overwhelming, especially since I was still dealing with health issues. At the same time, her decision to leave gave me space to reflect on our relationship without the daily strain of our interactions. However, the reality of managing everything alone was painful. I became increasingly uneasy about the situation and suspected she was hiding something. One day, while she was at work, I looked through her smartwatch and discovered that she had been messaging another man for 4 to 5 months. One message revealed her asking when and where they could hook up. When I confronted her, she dismissed it as a joke, but admitted she had sought fulfillment elsewhere because I wasn't being physically intimate with her. Ironically, for months, she had been the one rejecting my attempts at intimacy. By August 2023, she moved into her own apartment. 2 weeks later, I informed her I was filing for divorce. At first, she thought I was bluffing, but given that we had no children, the process was relatively quick and finalized by December 2023. There were many instances of gaslighting and troubling behavior throughout this time. I share my story to emphasize that if you are being mistreated or taken advantage of in a relationship, it is crucial to have the courage to leave. No one deserves to be disrespected. In the 2 weeks before she moved out, we had numerous arguments, during which she repeatedly referred to me as a broken person, due to my injuries and pain. Despite everything, I helped her move out because she had no one else to rely on, and I thought it might give me a sense of closure. In the following months, we dealt with paperwork for the divorce. We agreed that she would keep her possessions and I would keep mine. In October 2023, she was involved in a car accident that totaled her vehicle. Though she didn't go to the hospital and appeared fine, she asked to borrow my car for work. I refused, as I had conflicting schedules with my physical therapy and doctor visits. She dismissed my concerns, which led to an argument where I told her she was no longer my responsibility. After this, our communication diminished significantly. We only spoke occasionally, mainly to update her address. Now, I return her mail to the sender, as there is nothing left to discuss. Since then, I have been focused on my recovery. I recently underwent a procedure to numb the nerves in my lower back, which I hope will allow me to return to more normal activities. As the new year began, I decided to start dating again, getting out of the house to explore new relationships and experiences.